There's a special kind of pressure almost nobody talks about. It's not the pressure of trying to win something, it's the pressure of trying to prove you deserve the thing you already won. Because the moment you achieve something huge, something nobody expected, a quiet voice starts up. Not just in the crowd, in your own head. Was that real, or did I just get lucky once? Could I ever do that again? Kaylia Nemour knew that voice better than anyone. In Paris, at 17 years old, she won an Olympic gold medal that made history, the first Olympic gymnastics medal for Algeria, and for the entire continent of Africa. It was the performance of a lifetime. And the instant it was over, the whispers began. A home crowd, a perfect night, a once-in-a-career routine. Beautiful, but could she ever repeat it? Or was Paris a beautiful accident that would never happen twice? In October 2025, in Jakarta, Kaylia answered that question in the loudest way possible. And this is the story of how she did it, because proving something wasn't a fluke is, in a lot of ways, harder than the original miracle. Stick with me to the end, because the number she posted in that final didn't just win gold, it sent a warning to every gymnast dreaming about Los Angeles 2028. But to understand why Jakarta mattered so much, you have to remember what Paris actually cost her to get to. Because Kaylia's gold medal was never just about one routine. For anyone who doesn't know her story yet, here's the short version, and it's a heavy one. Kaylia Nemour was born in France, to a French mother and an Algerian father. She was one of the most gifted young gymnasts France had ever produced. And then her knees betrayed her, a growth-related condition that required surgery on both knees as a teenager. When she recovered and her own doctors cleared her, a dispute with the French Federation over how and when she should return spiraled into something bigger, and she ended up frozen out, kept off the team during some of the most important years of a young gymnast's development. So she made an almost unheard-of choice. She turned to her father's homeland, Algeria, and chose to represent it instead. It set off legal battles, national controversy, months of uncertainty. A teenager, caught between two countries, watching her prime tick away while adults argued about her future. And then in Paris, she silenced all of it. 15.700 on the uneven bars. Olympic gold. History for an entire continent. The girl who'd been pushed aside stood at the very top of the sport. Which is exactly why the fluke whispers stung so much. When you win after a story like that, after the drama, the dispute, the emotion, people find it easy to say you rode the moment, that the crowd carried you, that lightning struck once and won't strike again. It's one of the cruelest things you can say to an athlete, and it's said all the time. Not, you're not good, but you got lucky. Let me ask you something, and I really want your answer in the comments. Has anyone ever done that to you? Told you your biggest win didn't really count? That you got lucky? That it was a fluke? That you couldn't do it again? Drop it below. I read every single comment, and I think a lot of you know this feeling better than you'd like to. Because here's the thing about that voice. The only way to kill it is to do it again. Not with words, not with excuses. You have to walk back out and repeat the impossible thing, on demand, when everyone's watching to see if you crack. And that is so much harder than the first time. The first time, you have nothing to lose. You're the underdog, the surprise, the kid nobody's watching closely. The second time, now you're the champion. Now you're the favorite. Now everyone expects it. An expectation is a weight the underdog never has to carry. Ask any athlete. Defending is harder than winning. So through 2025, Kaylia went back to work. And notice a quiet detail here that tells you everything about her character. She trains in France, competes for Algeria, but trains in France. At a club in Dijon. The country that once pushed her out is the country she chose to keep building her greatness in. No bitterness, no revenge tour, just a young woman putting her head down and getting back to the bars. And she didn't just maintain, she expanded. Because the other thing people said about Paris was that she was a one-event wonder. Brilliant on bars, sure, but bars is her only weapon. So Kaylia set out to prove she was more than a single apparatus. October 2025, Jakarta, Indonesia. The World Artistic Gymnastics Championships. The biggest meet in the sport in a non-Olympic year. This was the exam. Not a home crowd this time. Not the emotional wave of an Olympics in her birth country. Just a gymnast, far from home, expected to deliver, with the whole sport waiting to see if Paris had been real. Let's start with the event that answered the one-trick question, the all-around, all-four apparatus, the truest test of a complete gymnast. In Paris, Kaylia had shown flashes. In Jakarta, she put together a full, all-around campaign and finished fourth in the world. Fourth, just off the podium, yes, but think about what that means. The girl they called a bars specialist was now one of the four best all-around gymnasts on the planet, competing stride for stride with the likes of world champion Angelina Melnikova and America's Leanne Wong. That alone should have ended the one-event talk, but she wasn't finished. On balance beam, the 4-inch nightmare, the event that has nothing to do with the bars she's famous for. Kaylia won a silver medal at the World Championships. Read that again. The supposed one-apparatus gymnast medaled on a completely different event, on the most terrifying piece of equipment in the sport. That's not a specialist. That's a genuine all-around threat, announcing herself. And then came the main event, the uneven bars. Her event, the one she made history on in Paris. This was the real test of the fluke question, because to prove Paris was no accident, she had to win the exact title again, the exact event, against the best bar workers in the world, with everyone expecting her to do it. The bars final in Jakarta was stacked, and Kaylia walked out carrying the heaviest label in sports. The favorite, the defending Olympic champion, the one everyone came to see either confirm her greatness or crack under it. She didn't crack. 20-some seconds of the most difficult, most intricate bar work on earth. Release move after release move, combinations almost no one else on the planet even attempts. Stuck to the mat at the end. When the score came up, it was gold. World champion on the uneven bars. Paris was not a fluke. Paris was just the beginning. Stack it all up. In 1 week in Jakarta, Kaylia Nemour won gold on bars, silver on beam, and finished fourth in the world all around. That's not the resume of a gymnast who got lucky once. That's the resume of one of the best all-around gymnasts alive, and the single best bar worker in the world. And here's the detail I promised you at the start. The reason this matters far beyond one championship. Kaylia Nemour is still a teenager. The gymnast she's beating, the world titles she's collecting, the all-around depth she's building, she's doing all of it years before she'll even hit her physical peak. And there's one date circled on every calendar in this sport: Los Angeles, 2028. A home Olympics for the Americans, the next great showdown. Kaylia will arrive in Los Angeles as the defending Olympic bars champion. No longer a surprise, no longer an underdog, but the standard everyone else has to chase. The score she posted in Jakarta wasn't just a gold medal. It was a message to every rival dreaming about 2028. The girl from Paris isn't going anywhere, and she's getting better. Think about the full arc of it. Born in France, told, in effect, to wait, to slow down, to fall in line. Frozen out during the years that should have launched her. She picked up another country's flag, made history for an entire continent, and then, when the world quietly wondered if it was all a beautiful accident, she came back and did it again. Bigger, broader, and more complete than before. That's the whole point, isn't it? Anyone can have one perfect night. Champions are the ones who prove the perfect night was who they really are. So here's my question for you. Does Kaylia Nemour defend her Olympic title in Los Angeles in 2028? And does she finally break through for that all-around medal too? Or does the pressure of being the one everyone's chasing finally catch up to her? Drop your prediction below. I read every single one. And if this story hit you the way it hit me, if you've ever had to prove that your best wasn't a fluke, that you really are as good as your best day, then hit subscribe. Because this channel is full of people who were doubted and answered with results, and the next story is already waiting for you.